I am Amara Bell, and I am 16 years old when my parents decide that my future is a threat to their secrets. I am standing barefoot on the chipped linoleum of our kitchen floor, clutching an acceptance letter from the Crestview Academy of Visual Arts, my hands trembling like the paper might vanish if I blink. The room smells like my mother's rose lotion mixed with the sharp burn of my father's cheap bourbon. My heart is pounding so loudly I can barely hear them yelling. This letter is my escape, proof that I can be more than what they demand. Before we continue, please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. Your support keeps stories like this alive, and it truly means more than you know. Now let me tell you how everything broke. You think you're special now? My mother Denise snaps, her voice slicing through the room. You think this little paper makes you better than us? My older brother Marcus leans against the fridge, arms folded, wearing the same lazy grin he uses when things are about to get ugly. My sister Talia sits at the table scrolling through her phone, acting like I'm invisible. She always thought she was different, Talia mutters. Too clean for the family work. The family work is what they call it when they don't want to say illegal. Deliveries that aren't deliveries. Collections that come with threats. I stopped helping when I was 14, and they tolerated it because I stayed quiet. But art school makes me loud without saying a word. Dreams expose what silence hides. This foolishness ends tonight, my father growls, snatching the letter from my hands. You turn 17 soon. You'll work with Talia, or you're done here. I'm 16, I say, my voice shaking but steady. And I won't do it. My mother laughs, sharp and humorless. Then pack your things. You've got 30 minutes. When I try to argue, Marcus grabs my arm, his fingers digging deep. You heard her, he whispers. You're not family anymore. 28 minutes later, I'm standing outside with a backpack, $68 in my pocket, and nowhere to go. The door slams behind me, heavy and final. That sound follows me into my sleep for years. That's when I see her. She sits beside the alley behind our building, wrapped in layers of mismatched clothes, surrounded by cardboard walls and plastic sheets tied with careful knots. Her eyes are sharp, observant, kind, and tired at the same time. Everyone calls her Ms. Inez, though I later learn her full name is Inez Harper. So they finally did it, she says gently. I heard everything. I shake my head, fighting tears. She pats the ground beside her blanket. Sit. You don't have to face tonight alone. I should be afraid. A teenage girl with a stranger who sleeps in an alley. But something about Ms. Inez feels like safety. Like my grandmother before she died. Strong. Watchful. Protective. That night, she splits her dinner with me, 2 sandwiches wrapped in church paper. You've got something in you, she says, studying my face beneath the flickering streetlight. People who drown hate swimmers. Your people are drowning. I ask her how she ended up here, and she doesn't flinch. She tells me about her husband's illness. About medical bills swallowing their home. About grief stealing her focus, then her job. It doesn't take long, she says softly. But I didn't lose my heart. She hands me an extra blanket. You remind me of my daughter, she adds. She'd be your age now. From that night forward, Ms. Inez becomes my anchor. She teaches me which shelters are safe, which soup kitchens to trust, and where I can shower without being harassed. You're staying in school, she insists. Education is your ladder. I transfer schools, pretending I moved in with an aunt. Every morning I clean up, change clothes in gas station bathrooms, and walk into class like a normal girl. No one knows I sleep in an alley. Ms. Inez wakes me before dawn, checks my uniform, straightens my shoulders. Head high, she says. You're not homeless. You're temporarily between permanent places. We survive on routines and stubborn hope. I work weekends at a laundromat under the table, saving every dollar like my life depends on it. Because it does. 7 months later, my past finds me. Marcus corners me outside school, smiling like poison. Mama wants to talk, he says. And she knows things. That night, I tell Ms. Inez everything. She listens quietly, jaw tight. They want something, she says. And one day, they'll regret choosing power over love. I don't know yet how right she is. Life after leaving the alley felt unreal, like I had stepped into someone else's future by mistake. The Crestview Academy of Visual Arts was nothing like the neighborhood I came from. Wide hallways filled with light, students carrying sketch tubes instead of secrets, teachers who spoke about possibility as if it were a fact. I moved into the dorm using the housing stipend they gave me, sleeping on a real mattress for the first time in nearly a year. That first night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, waiting for fear to return. It didn't. What came instead was grief, heavy and unexpected, because survival had finally slowed enough for me to feel everything. I called Ms. Inez every Sunday from the payphone near campus. She never asked for money, never asked for promises. She only asked if I was eating, if I was safe, if I was remembering who I was. "Don't let them make you small in a bigger place," she warned. I carried her voice with me into every classroom. I discovered quickly that my talent wasn't just art, but structure. I loved understanding how spaces affected people, how light could calm or expose, how walls could protect or imprison. By my second year, I shifted my focus toward architectural design. My professors noticed. Opportunities followed. Internships. Fellowships. Doors opening so fast it scared me. I worked relentlessly. Not out of ambition, but fear. I never wanted to be trapped again. During my third year, my family resurfaced. It started with a message from my sister Talia, sent from an unfamiliar number. She said she was just checking in. I didn't respond. A week later, my brother Marcus emailed me through the school directory, pretending concern. "We hear you're doing well. Proud of you." I deleted it. When my mother finally called, I let it go to voicemail. Her message was syrupy and fake. "We miss you," she said. "Family is family. You should come home." Home. The word tasted bitter. I didn't call back. A month later, my father died. Not violently. Not dramatically. Just collapsed one evening and never woke up. The news reached me through a classmate whose cousin lived in my old neighborhood. I sat alone in my dorm room and cried, not because I missed him, but because some small part of me had always hoped he might one day apologize. The funeral invitation came through my mother, brief and cold. I didn't attend. I sent flowers. Plain white. No note. That was when the messages changed. My family no longer wanted reconciliation. They wanted access. By graduation, I had job offers lined up. I accepted one with a respected firm 2 states away, specializing in mixed-use developments. I moved again, this time into a small apartment I paid for myself. I lived cheaply, saved obsessively, and learned everything I could. By 28, I was leading projects. By 32, I started my own firm. Success did not arrive loudly. It arrived quietly, steadily, and without permission. I sent money anonymously to shelters, donated to outreach programs, told myself I was honoring Ms. Inez that way. But I didn't go back. Guilt sat in my chest like unfinished business. At 37, opportunity finally forced my hand. My firm was approached about purchasing a neglected apartment building in my old neighborhood. The city offered incentives for redevelopment that preserved affordability. I didn't look at the address until the day of the site visit. When I did, my breath caught. It was the same building. Same brick. Same alley. The cardboard shelter was gone. I bought the property without hesitation. That night, reviewing tenant records, I saw her name. Inez Harper. Unit 109. She owed $19,400 in back rent. Eviction filed. Court date pending. My hands shook as I stared at the screen. This woman had fed me when she was starving. Shielded me when I was vulnerable. And now she was one signature away from losing everything again. I canceled the eviction immediately. When I went to see her, she didn't recognize me. Her face was thinner. Her eyes dulled. The apartment smelled of neglect and loneliness. "Please," she said, mistaking me for another authority figure. "I'll pay when I can." I couldn't tell her who I was. Not yet. I forgave the debt on the spot and left shaking. The investigation that followed broke me. Assault. Head injury. Cognitive decline. Denied benefits. Alcohol. Isolation. She had climbed out of homelessness on her own after I left. And then she had fallen again alone. That was when my revenge became clear. Not loud. Not cruel. Precise. I wasn't going to punish my family with anger. I was going to erase their importance entirely. Leaving the alley behind felt unreal, like I had stepped into a future that didn't belong to me yet. The Crestview Academy of Visual Arts looked like another world compared to where I came from. The buildings were clean and modern, with wide windows that let sunlight spill into the hallways. Students carried sketchbooks instead of fear, talked about exhibitions instead of survival. The first night I slept in the dorm room provided by my housing stipend, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, waiting for panic to return. I was used to listening for footsteps, shouting danger. Instead, there was silence. And in that silence, grief crept in, heavy and sharp, because for the first time, I was safe enough to feel everything I had buried. I called Ms. Inez every Sunday, sometimes from a campus phone, sometimes from a borrowed cell phone. She never asked for money, never asked me to visit. She only asked if I was eating, if I was studying, if I remembered who I was becoming. "Don't let comfort make you careless," she said once. "And don't let success make you cruel." I wrote those words down and kept them folded in my wallet. School changed me, not because it made me better, but because it showed me what I was capable of when fear wasn't steering my choices. I discovered quickly that my strength wasn't just in drawing or painting, but in structure. I loved understanding how spaces shaped people, how hallways could invite or intimidate, how light could soften trauma or expose truth. By my second year, I shifted my focus toward architecture. My professors noticed my intensity, my attention to detail, my obsession with purpose. They didn't know it was survival instinct wearing ambition's face. Opportunities came fast. Internships, fellowships, paid summer programs. I worked relentlessly, not because I wanted luxury, but because I never wanted to be powerless again. Every dollar I earned felt like armor. Every skill I learned felt like protection. My family stayed silent at first. Years passed without a word. Then slowly they resurfaced. It started with a message from my sister Talia, sent from a number I didn't recognize. She said she hoped I was well, that she missed me. I didn't reply. A week later, my brother Marcus emailed me through the school's alumni directory. He wrote like a stranger pretending to care. "Heard you're doing big things. Proud of you." I deleted it without responding. When my mother finally called, I let it ring until it stopped. Her voicemail was almost convincing. "Family is family," she said softly. "We should talk. Home. Family." The words felt hollow. I didn't call back. Then my father died. Not violently. Not the way threats had once promised. Just a sudden heart attack, quiet and final. The news reached me through a classmate whose cousin lived near my old block. I sat on my bed and cried, not because I missed him, but because some childish part of me had hoped he would live long enough to regret what he did to me. The funeral invitation came days later. Brief. Cold. I didn't attend. I sent flowers, white and impersonal, signed with my name only. After that, the tone of my family's messages changed completely. They no longer wanted reconciliation. They wanted access. By the time I graduated, I had multiple job offers. I accepted one with a respected firm 2 states away, specializing in mixed-use housing developments. I moved into a small apartment I could afford comfortably, even though my salary allowed more. I lived simply, saved aggressively, invested carefully. By my late 20s, I was managing projects. By my early 30s, I launched my own firm. Success came quietly. No announcements. No applause. Just results. My firm focused on housing that treated people with dignity. Affordable units that didn't feel like punishment. Buildings that respected the people inside them. I told myself this was how I honored Ms. Inez. I donated to shelters. Funded outreach programs. Supported transitional housing initiatives. I convinced myself that was enough. But I never went back. Guilt lived in me like unfinished business. Every year I told myself I would visit. Every year I found an excuse not to. I was afraid of what I might find. Afraid of facing the woman who had saved me when I was 16, while I had disappeared into a better life. At 37, my avoidance finally failed. My firm was approached about acquiring an aging apartment building in my old neighborhood. The city offered incentives for renovations that preserved affordable units. I agreed to the site visit without looking closely at the address. When I arrived, my chest tightened. It was the same building, same brickwork, same cracked steps, same alley to the side. The cardboard shelter was gone. I bought the building outright. That night, reviewing tenant records, I froze when I saw her name. Inez Harper, Unit 109. She owed $22,300 in unpaid rent. Eviction filed. Court date scheduled. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. The woman who fed me when she was starving. Who guarded my sleep when I had nowhere to go. She was about to be thrown out again. I canceled the eviction immediately. When I went to see her, she didn't recognize me. Her face was thinner, her eyes dull and unfocused. The apartment smelled of loneliness and neglect. She mistook me for another official. "Please," she said. "I'll pay. I just need time." I couldn't tell her who I was. Not yet. I forgave the debt on the spot and left shaking in my car. The investigation that followed broke me. Assault, head trauma, cognitive decline, denied disability, alcohol abuse, isolation. She had survived homelessness after I left. She had rebuilt her life alone. And then she had fallen again, with no one to catch her. That was when my revenge took shape. Not loud, not cruel, precise. I wasn't going to punish my family with anger. I was going to erase their relevance completely.